sign-in sheet. I know that's somewhere. Okay.
Does it?
We brought some market profiles and stuff. No, we were hoping they'd come today because they're at the printer.
They look really good. I saw them.
Thanks. We brought some like tumblers and stuff for your community group, but I didn't really get my hammer or just like leave them in a place.
Probably hand them out just because that's like the best way to get it in their hands.
Is it everybody who's sitting up here?
Now they'll be sitting in front of their seat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait till you start your presentation because we may have some stragglers.
Okay. Well, I'll do who's here now, then I'm not interrupted.
We're pretty low here. Yeah. I think Barbie's walking around with them.
We'll go over some way, Dave. We got something to stop. ARPA money. Did you bring candy for everybody? That's your lunch and dinner? Divided in three. What's a half? You know, that would be on the wood now. I think that. Yeah. Probably not a lot of it. Got to be careful where you're going. Well, I knew that they did. I knew they did it one time. We'll see what happens. Well, they're doing walking. Yeah, if you really do it. Like it.
I'm not gonna forget you up here.
I thought I had to sing for it.
Aw,
I'd have never
used that.
I'd have never got it. You ran out the door.
Yeah. Basic check.
This is gonna be my favorite.
What goes with coffee? Is that right? Okay. I saw people driving around in their golfers. I'm assuming that.
Huh? What'd you say? Okay, I'll wait.
I don't know if she's gonna have any more for you there. Me too.
Huh? I'm waiting on you. I was gonna text you and ask where you on your way. Like,
You coming up to this chair?
you got an agenda for me if you don't mind.
Yeah, we can. Sure.
That sounds fantastic. Oh, I got to do a roll call. I know Mr.
We've been, you tried it.
Yeah, some of these. Some of these
Girl and my
businesses.
son. Here, thank you so much, because I got lost in the budget for a minute.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Economic Development Committee meeting to order. The time that I have is 5:33. I am Alderman Cobbs, and we are going to do a roll call. And I am present. Alderman Barron. Present. Malone Marshall.
Present.
Crawford.
Present.
Swanson appears to be absent. Lewis.
Here.
And Mr. Jones gave me a call and said he wouldn't make it this evening. We got enough? Yes? Okay. And at this time, we'll go to public comments. Are there any public comments? Well, we are very fortunate to have Mr. Nugent do a presentation, the President and CEO of Economic Alliance of Kankakee County. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having the opportunity to come and give a little presentation. Now, we did some of this at the county board meeting a couple weeks ago, and we've catered a little bit of the presentation now more to the city of Kankakee, but there's still a lot of county-wide and regional-wide projects that are talked about in here. The first thing is the mission of what the Economic Alliance is. I know I have been here before, but it's been a few years, but there might be some members that don't really understand or know what the Economic Alliance does. We are a county-wide economic development organization. We are funded by about 85% through private funding and 15% through the county. It's our job to work on economic development throughout the whole county, work with the state of Illinois, the Federal Economic Development Association, the city of Kankakee, all the other different municipalities to help them and bring jobs and make the community a better place by raising the wages and bringing more jobs and more people to Kankakee County. So that's kind of our mission statement there, and you'll all get a copy of this presentation in your emails tomorrow. Our board of directors, we have 16 members on our board of directors. There's 4 members from the county board, since we are funded somewhat through the county, and then we have 12 members from the different business community. As you can see, we've got the KCC president, the presidents from Riverside, Amita, several bank representatives, a wide variety, NAACP, their labor unions. We have people from all over the county that are represented on our board of directors, and we meet 5 times a year where we give presentations on what's happening throughout the county and things that are going on in the economic development world.
Go ahead, I'll fix this.
Okay. The IT person at work.
We're good.
Okay. And what I want to do is kind of just give you a little overview of what has taken place in the last year. In 2021, we had 23 major projects that were announced. Major projects, what we consider major projects are development projects that are over $250,000 or more throughout the county. We have 23 of those that were announced in 2021 and that were either announced or started or completed. They amounted to over $256 million of capital investment. That's $250 million money that's being invested in different businesses throughout Kankakee County. And it also built over 58,000 square foot of new development. So $250 million, 23 projects. And those projects are very large projects, like Riverside's emergency room that's being remodeled. That's about a $14 million project. We have projects that are going on at CSL and Nucor that they're not the big announcements that they made a few years ago, but still CSL is spending upwards of $40 million on their wastewater treatment facility. Nucor is doing all kinds of infrastructure work. Rise Baking up in the Manteno area is investing about $30 to $40 million in expanding their facility. Johnsonville Sausage over in Moments is putting in new facilities for freezer equipment and spending millions of dollars. We track all that over the course of the year, and it adds up to a lot of money as the as the year goes on. So this is a lot of money getting spent throughout the county. We work with the state of Illinois and the federal EDA, also Intersect Illinois, on requests for information or requests for proposals. In 2021, we responded to 23 RFIs or requests for information. That's where the state of Illinois or Intersect Illinois sends us information that they have a company that's looking for a certain area, that they need X number of square footage for a building, or they need X number of acres for land, but it's got to have, so much capacity for water, sewer. They need fiber. They might need rail. They might need, access to the interstate. So we work with them in submitting properties. And over the course of 2021, we had 23 projects that we submitted 49 properties. Now, the city of Kankakee, most of the properties that we submitted for the city are in Eastgate or in the South Tech area, because most of these projects need at least 5 to 10 to 15, maybe up to 30 to 40 acres, and that's the areas that that you have things that where they meet the criteria and they have the capacity for water and sewer. But the 49 properties that are submitted, we don't pick and choose where they're at. All we do is look at the criteria that the company's asking for, and then find out what properties meet that. And if they're all in Medley or all in Kankakee or all throughout the whole county, those are the ones that we submit based on the criteria that they're looking for. So we might submit for one project, we might submit 2 of them from Kankakee and 1 from Manteno and 1 from Momence if they all meet the right criteria. Then we wait to hear back from that company to see whether they want to come down here and whether they want more information. And they might ask for information on 1 site, 2 sites, or we might not ever hear from them again. And to be honest with you, that's the case most of the time, is that we submit all these properties and most of the time we don't hear back. It's not like they call us and say, hey, just wanted to let you know that this company went somewhere else. We just don't hear. Some of the other things that have taken place throughout the area, obviously the Greater Kankakee Airport received funding. They got $1.6 million in capital funding through the improvement program through the state of Illinois. That's obviously a city of Kankakee located airport. They're going to use it for widening taxiway and relocating taxiway and for widening it. What a lot of people don't understand is the Kankakee Airport is used by a lot of our manufacturers. It's not unusual to go out there on any given day and see a private jet out there that belongs to Incubator from Gilman or Johnsonville from Momence or CSL. So there's a lot of corporate usage for this airport. I think a lot of people, when they don't see planes coming and going all the time, they just don't think that it's being used. But there is a lot of corporate usage, and there's a lot of companies that that could potentially locate because the airport's here. So it's a real asset, and it's really great to have a group out there that's like the group that's there now that is very focused on redevelopment and expanding the airport, and applied for money to get the grants. We worked with them in trying to get support from all the different companies, and we got 19 letters from local businesses in support of the state of Illinois grant, and we think that that's one of the reasons that they were able to get the $1.6 million in funding. Obviously, the city of Kankakee's got a lot of other things going too, but we've worked with the city in the past on the Riverfront project, both on the the complete master plan, but then also now on the Currents of Kankakee and the project that's underway there. And you're all very obviously familiar with that. We spent a lot of time in the last couple of years, mostly in the last year, on the proposed gas pipeline out to Pembroke Township. That project has started, I've worked on that myself 3 different times over the course of the last 6 years. And the project got started and then it died for one reason or another. This time it actually got to the finish line and got legislation passed through the state of Illinois to be able to help fund this pipeline. So this is a project that is, that is now, got legislation passed. There's a funding mechanism. They're going through the process now of getting the property. That this is a project that's going to happen, and it's going to bring natural gas to an area that has never had it before. So they're hoping for a lot of big things to be able to take place out there. We are, also trying to tamper the expectations to let them realize that, hey, this is a great step, but this is only one step. I mean, every other community has had this natural gas for a long time, and this is going to be great great for your residents, but it's one step. They still need to, they need to have the electricity capabilities, the water sewer capabilities, the fiber, the roads and all that. So it's one step in a long journey, but it's a step that we're finally going to be able to achieve that we haven't been able to achieve over the course of the last 10 years, and obviously natural gas has never been out there. So this is a big deal for our area. Workforce continues to be a huge thing throughout the whole area, throughout the whole country, but Kankakee County is no different. Our unemployment, at the last statistics that are available was from November of 2021, our unemployment stands at 5%. That's down to where we were lower than that pre-COVID, but it's close to where we have been a lot of times in the past. We used to always rank above the state of Illinois for unemployment, but since COVID hit, we've always been below the state of Illinois average, which that's a good thing, but it's just something that's different. The COVID has kind of flipped it. Instead of being higher than the state average, we're always lower now. And I think a lot of that's got to do with Cook County and the fact that there are still so many people up in the Chicagoland market that have not gone back to work, and a lot of the bars, restaurants, and hospitality industry that got hit so hard up there that hasn't been hit that hard in other parts of the state. So 5% unemployment. But the thing that's really important about the 5% unemployment is that even though it's 5%, there's still a lot of people that aren't working. 3 or 4 years ago, in 2017, we were at 5% unemployment then too. And we had 47,100 people working in 2017. Today, we're at 5% unemployment, and we have 44,100. We have 3,000 less people working now than we did in 2017 with the exact same unemployment. So there's 3,000 people that are just not in the workforce. That they've retired. They're not going to go back to work. We've got that many people that are just not working that were a few years ago. So that's one of the reasons that we have so many jobs that are available. Our employers have increased employment, they've created more jobs, and we've got less people that are going into the workforce. The city of Kankakee alone has got, just last month, 2,539 job postings in December of 2021 for over 1,000 different jobs. In the city, most of the jobs, the highest percentage of jobs are in healthcare. You see the different areas where the city has a lot of employment opportunities. And here you'll see this is the city of Kankakee industry strengths. Healthcare obviously is a big industry in the city of Kankakee. And you see that line up there, the purple line, in the middle there's a gray mark. That's where the national average is. So Kankakee is way above the national average for healthcare workers. They're way above the national average for having manufacturing jobs and manufacturing workers. You see where all the other lines are where the national average, and Kankakee is higher in two great areas: healthcare, which has got good paying, high paying jobs, and manufacturing that have got good, high paying jobs. We hear the story all the time, there's no jobs available. Well, there's jobs available, and they're right here, and they're jobs that you can make a living on, and the jobs that you can raise a family on, jobs that you can buy a home, and get a car loan, and live a good life. Why do we have so many less people working? Well, there's a lot of different reasons. A lot of people, obviously, once COVID hit, they haven't gone back to work for one reason or another. Transportation continues to be a big reason that countywide, the bus service, they provide transportation throughout, to all the different manufacturing areas, but they're having trouble getting workers. And what they've done in the past is that they usually run from 6 or 7 in the morning till 8 or 9 at night. Well, these factories are running 24/7. So some of the workers in the afternoon can get to work, but they can't get home. Or the ones that have to be there for the midnight shift can't get there. So we have worked with them and talked to River Valley Metro about the possibility of trying to adjust some of their shifts, do some more research to try to find out how they can help to try to get some of these employees to these employment centers. It's good for the employees, It's also good for the factories because they're begging for people. So transportation is a big issue. KCC continues to work hard to try to train people. There's a lot of training and certification options available through KCC, through the employers, through the workforce board. There's a lot of things that if people aren't working right now, they could potentially be doing to get themselves in a position to be a better employee when the time does come for them to go back to work. Childcare needs, that's another reason a lot of people aren't going to work. The kids, the schools, sometimes the school scheduling is inconsistent. They might be all at home for remote schools. They might not know exactly when the schools are going to be in or out, and so they have trouble with childcare. That's another big reason that we hear that people have not gone back to work. Obviously, COVID and health concerns is another reason that people just haven't gone back to work in the groups that that exited the workforce a few years back. One other thing about the employment too is that there's so many people that are retiring at rapid rates. You've heard that in the law enforcement industry, but it's happening all over, where there's a lot of people in their early 60s that were maybe going to work another 4, 5, 6 years, but because of COVID, they just decided the heck with it and they're done. So there's the retirements have accelerated at a rate a lot faster than what was anticipated, and that is all got to do with COVID. These people were going to be retiring anyway, but they'd be doing it over the next 5 years, and they'd hopefully have a gradual replacement. Now people are doing it faster, and they just don't have the volume of people coming in on the other side. As far as livability, Kankakee County is a very economical place to live. We rank at 90.7% on the scale. That means that if it costs, an average city in the United States costs $100, in Kankakee it costs $90.70. You can see where our housing is very economical. As much as nobody likes to pay their utility bills, you're still very economical according to what the scale is across the country. Healthcare the same way. Miscellaneous goods and services the same thing. We are a little higher on grocery items and transportation than we are throughout the United States. You can see the numbers there. We're a little bit over 100. Our Kankakee County rental costs, that's what you'll see is the average rental cost in Kankakee County, $863, which is a lot less than what the national average is. So we have jobs, we have good paying jobs, and we're a very economical place to live in comparison to throughout the rest of the country. This is the City of Kankakee housing units. The housing market has been hot lately, and it's not just hot in some areas, it's been hot throughout the county. These are numbers just strictly for the City of Kankakee. In 2020, there was 392 units that were sold, and you see what the average price was. And the houses usually were sat on the market for 80 days. These numbers come from the Kankakee County Realtors Association. In 2021, you had a few more units sold, but the prices were higher and the houses were selling faster. So that's a positive step obviously for the real estate market, but also for the community as a whole. The Census Bureau, our census came out, we all are aware of that. Nobody's happy with what we found out, but the numbers are what they are until we were able to change them. What this tells us is that we shouldn't be shocked and surprised that we're having trouble finding employees for some of these jobs. Companies are employing and creating more jobs, and we have less workers, and we have less workers because we have less people. I mean, we just don't have the thousands of people that were out there working before. Here, just the whole county has lost over 5,000 people in the last in the last several years. So there's a lot of things that are contributing to the factor that we don't have enough employees. Our housing permits, we believe one of the reasons that we have a hard time attracting people to live in Kankakee County is that we haven't built anything new in the last 15 or 20 years. You can see in the early 2000s, these are the housing numbers housing permits that were issued in Kankakee County. This is for all communities, Kankakee, Bradley, Bourbonnais, Manteno, Herscher, St. Anne, every place. There was upwards of over 600 homes that were built at the peak back in 2005, 2005, 2006. And you can see when the crash happened in 2007, those numbers went down. And over the last 12 years, they haven't really done much at all. We just got the new numbers for 2021, and they went up a little bit, but not significantly, not in comparison to what we were building a few years ago. So we think one of the things that need to get done is that we need to try to attract more home builders. We need to do what we can do to try to attract investment and try to build some new facilities here. And they've got to be different types of facilities. Not everybody wants to live in a 3-bedroom house with a 2-car garage. We've got to have some different types of housing, whether it be condos or apartments or whatever type of multifamily. We need to start thinking about how we can get some new construction to take place here. One of the things, obviously, that's happened with the lack of people moving in is that we have less student enrollment. When I talk about trying to get more housing and have some incentives for housing, a lot of times people will say, well, we don't want to bring a whole bunch of people in here, bring in a lot of students, and then we've got to build a lot more schools and invest a lot more money. Well, the District 111 has got 304 less students now than they had 10 years ago. So we could build a lot of places and bring in 300 students, and we still wouldn't have as many students in the school as we did, 10 years ago. And District 111 is not alone. This is a chart showing our student enrollment throughout the whole county throughout the last 10 years, and every school district throughout the county is lower. Matter of fact, District 111 is lower by a smaller percentage than most of the other school districts. Every one of them has lost, upwards of several hundred students over the course of the last 10 years. So we've got a lot of room to grow and put more students in the schools before we have to start expanding any facilities, just based on how many students were in the schools back in 2011. One of the things that we've talked about and have tried to push over the course of the last few months is to try to come up with a residential rebuild initiative, come up with some potential property tax abatements. We talked about extending the enterprise zone benefits for residential housing. And why do we want to do that? Well, the enterprise zone was used back in the early 80s and 90s in order to expand our manufacturing base, because a lot of the companies had closed up shop and moved out of the area. We used the enterprise zone to bring in manufacturers. You saw in my presentation earlier, we've got more manufacturing jobs now than the national average. We've got a lot of manufacturing, so obviously the enterprise zone expansion worked for manufacturing. It worked to bring in warehouses. It worked to create commercial jobs. Why don't we use that same benefit to try to use it to bring in residential builders and to try to expand the residential base? If we can expand the residential base, we can expand our tax base and hopefully bring in more people who will live here to take some of the jobs that we've currently got. This is just a proposal. We've talked about it. There's some communities that are, are excited about potentially proceeding with this. We have some other communities that are not as excited about the idea. So this is something that we're working on and trying to find out, the pluses and the minuses of what this will do and if it'll work, for the housing industry like it did for the manufacturing industry. But this is just some options. The city of Kankakee, we have over 400 lots available throughout the county in various places and various subdivisions throughout the county. The city of Kankakee alone has got, just in your two subdivisions, about 170 lots. Indian Meadows on the west side and Tallgrass on the south side. So, Kankakee could be a great participant in potentially allowing the enterprise zone to work, to use that to try to attract some developers to come down here. They've got a lot of different places they can go, but if they can get some enterprise zone benefits, that might attract them to come down here and build as opposed to building somewhere else. Marketing and outreach, what do we do at the Economic Alliance in order to try to, help the different businesses and help bring business into the community? We are a community navigator for the Back to Business grants. It's a small business recovery grant. There's $450,000 that were spread throughout the state of Illinois for the community navigators. We participate in that, and we've had over 300 Kankakee County businesses that have applied for the B2B grants. And currently we have about, how many businesses have received money? 25? About 25 businesses that have currently received some funding totaling over $1 million that's coming back to Kankakee County. Now these are businesses, a lot of them in Kankakee. I think there's 14 businesses in Kankakee that have received over $385,000, but then the balance of those, over the $1 million has gone to different places in Bradley, Bourbonnais, Manteno, Pembroke, throughout the whole county. So, but you can see out of the 25, a good portion of the business recipients were right here in the city of Kankakee. Those awards are still coming out. There was a couple more that were issued today. They've only awarded about half of the money that has been allocated. So we anticipate that there's going to be several more businesses in the community that are going to receive these rewards. Small business resources, we have some material here just for different things that we do and we work with in conjunction with the state of Illinois for small businesses. We're always available to try to assist any small businesses to try to think about starting up or that need capital or income. We are not a bank, but we can refer them to different places of where they can go and try to get some help, and also work with Barbie and Brad and their group to try to be able to get people to invest in the community, in the city, throughout the whole county. We are in the process of coming up with a new 2022 market profile. We hope that they would have been delivered today so we could bring them here tonight, but they did not come yet. It's at the printer, and we hope to have a new market profile available for our board meeting, which is going to be the 10th of February. So those will be coming out, and we'll be providing them. And that's just a marketing tool that we use. It shows all the different major employers throughout the county. It has a lot of the information in there that we've talked about tonight about the capital investment. And we use it as a marketing piece throughout, to send out to all the different, companies that are potentially looking at our area. Hispanic outreach, we were fortunate to meet with Alderman Navarez and have established a relationship with his organization, because we have got a lot of people that are looking for employees, and so we were happy to be able to hook up with him and be able to connect a lot of employers with him so he can potentially get some of his people to be able to get some of the jobs that are available throughout the area. We participate in a lot of different committees. We're on a lot of different boards. We are always talking to different groups, but not only are we telling them about what we learn and what we hear, we're getting feedback from them to find out exactly what's happening in their business. We also spend a lot of time going out to the different businesses, the major employers throughout the area, and it's just sitting with them for an hour or two, taking a tour of their facility to get a better handle as exactly what's happening in their business, the positive things of doing business in Kankakee County, the problems that they're having. And it's really fascinating to find out all the different products that are actually made in the county. There's a lot more things that are made here than anybody can imagine. It's everybody thinks that the manufacturing left. Well, it's back. We're just making different products. These are our board meetings and our contact information. Anyone is welcome to attend our board meetings where I give a presentation very similar to this, explaining the different things that have come up over the course of the last 60 to 90 days. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and if there's any questions that I can answer, I'd be happy to take them now. Yes, sir.
That you know of, have there been any other communities that have done an enterprise zone for housing?
Not strictly for housing. There are a lot of communities that use housing as a component for, like, if there's a business on the first floor and apartments on the above. There are communities that have done that. I don't know of any place that has done it strictly for single-family housing. Thank you.
Unless there's no more questions, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity to come, and like I say, if there's any questions anybody comes up with, later on, our contact information is on the sheet, and Angela will send you, will email everybody a copy of this tomorrow. Okay?
Well, we surely appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Approval of prior meeting minutes, December meeting. Did everybody get them? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Motion by Alderwoman Carmen Lewis, second by Alderman Crawford. Roll call. Roll call, right? Yes, sir. The clicker. Alderwoman Lewis. Aye. Alderman Barron. Aye. Alderman Crawford. Aye. Alderwoman Malone Marshall.
Aye.
And myself, I'm an aye. Motion, the minutes stand approved. The next thing we have is the director's report.
Thank you. I am just going to go through a couple of things because we do have a lot under old business, new business to try to get through tonight too. So I just want to talk a little bit about Bounce Back Business. So far we've done 64 applications for COVID relief and assistance over the last year. We have 2 applications that are in process. I have 1 application that is actually coming in. I just got a phone call at like 4 o'clock today. And so we have dispersed $204,436.92 in assistance to our small businesses in Kankakee. There's been no duplication of benefits from a state COVID program. A lot of these people have been able to utilize PPP and some other SBA federal stuff, but there's not been another like COVID CARES Act pocket of money that these businesses have been able to get assistance from. So we have $20,000 left. And so we've got these 2 applications that are in process right now and then 1 coming in. So we're getting to the end of our relief funds, but we still do have some available. So if somebody's still out there and you know that they need some help, if they can give us a call, we'll try to help in any way we can. And if it's something that doesn't fit our program, we'll definitely put them in touch with Economic Alliance and their program, and then the state program and other federal opportunities as well. But I just wanted to point that out because we are getting to the end of that pot of money for business relief. So just wanted to pull that out. You can see in this report all the new business license since May. So take a look at that. The other highlights that I just want to talk to you about, we did do a search for a bilingual community economic navigator. And so we made an offer this week and that person accepted. So as we bring them on board, I'm looking forward to introducing that person to you in the February meeting. I want to give them a chance to get on board before we make that announcement and then everybody inundates them with, come to this meeting, can you come here? But we're really excited because we have made a formal commitment to National League of Cities to broaden our Hispanic business engagement within the city of Kankakee to make sure that our internal policies, procedures, and systems work for our Hispanic population, that we have Spanish-speaking forms and readable materials, and also partnering with Building and Code to make sure that some of their forms and materials get translated into Spanish and that we can help in any way when they need the business license with the clerk's office as well. So we're going to be doing multiple things, but that person is really going to help us spearhead this goal that we have to get those internal things done and some marketing things done, and then be able to really help our Hispanic business owners in the community and property owners through this goal. So we'll start reporting more on that project and that goal, and there could be some funding opportunities through the National League of Cities and their grant opportunities as we continue to look into how we can better serve our Hispanic population. So just wanted to let you know we're really excited about that, and more to come on that. We are also have been doing a lot of work looking at the East Side Special Service area and looking to set up the East Side Business Council again. I know that there has been an East Side Business Council before, but we needed to really understand the Special Service Area statute from the state, really understand some of the things have changed since that was really up and running, and then getting a hold on the boundaries of what the special service area actually is versus the TIF district. So we have the list of all of the owners and the business owners that are in this area, and so we are going to be pulling them together and really working with them in what they want to see for the East Side for business development, and really set up their organization similar to KDC's, so that there is there's a committee, there's a community group of leaders on that side of town in that business district, running it and making decisions and having events. And, there could be an East Side Farmers Market, but really just trying to facilitate and give them the foundation and all of the resources that they need to get started to do the work that they can as property owners and business owners on the east side of town. So we've been doing that work, and we're really ready to get everybody together. So, but there is a lot that goes into how special service areas operate. So we just needed to make sure that we get everything together so that we can also pass on that information to those individuals, since they're going to be running the organization. So more to come on that, and you'll learn right along with us as we try to start this up again. And there's a lot of excitement. We already have a lot of support, and people are really ready to get in there and have their own community kind of group. So I'm looking forward to that work this year. So just wanted to let you know where we're at with all of those projects. The Business Incubator Committee is still meeting, the advisory committee for the Incubator. The developing group did apply for the state downtown grant, so we should hear announcement for those grants in April. I know construction budget has changed for that project, so they're looking to get started this spring, and then the open date would be tentatively, it's being shot for July. So we're trying to make sure that we keep that on track as much as possible. But we are meeting with an advisory committee for the Incubator to create operational plans and strategies with the Jeffers Group of how the building's going to operate, and then also what's the program and the events and the services, the resources, and all the partners that are going to be a part of that Incubator program, so that we can make sure that we have educational opportunities, mentoring opportunities, networking opportunities, access to capital for those businesses that need that. And then also there's a whole area of like gig employees and gig workers and entrepreneurs, and they have their own unique programming that goes into what they're trying to do. So there's a lot of work that goes into that, but we will keep you up to date on what's going on with that advisory committee. The next meeting for this year is next week, so we'll keep updating every economic development committee meeting so that we can keep you in the loop about what's going on. So just wanted to give you up to date about that. We sent you in an email a draft of the marketing document that we have been working on. It is not done. This is a draft, but it was a draft that we were ready to share with you to get your feedback. So take a look at it, let us know. We are already making updates to the maps and changing some of the images, but we would welcome your feedback and your perspective on what that document looks like. So feel free to take a look at it, and we've got a couple of months left of work to do on this, because we want to get some new pictures, and we kind of want to wait for some spring sunny days. So, but we have time, so just take a look at that and give us some feedback on that. Development inquiries are in here as well. The most was 9 calls for new COVID testing sites from 9 different businesses. So it was a very interesting month of trying to work through that. One food retail opportunity, looking at Riverstone, Meadowview. It's right now there are 2 interested developers looking at Meadowview, so more to come on that because they're in the beginning stages of making decisions there. And then Riverfront for event space, so like an event banquet kind of business type there. So these are all the inquiries we got in the last month. So we will keep you in the loop about what comes to fruition and if we hear any more from these inquiries. So we did talk about unemployment data, and so as Mr. Nugent talked about, for the county is at 5%, but you can still see the city of Kankakee is at 8.2%, which is lower than where we have been. So we did drop from that 10% and 9.9% down to 8.2%. So it's promising, but we still have work to do when it comes to workforce. But you can see where we are at from the rest of the country and the states. There's also updates in here about CVB, and so just trying to keep up to date with what that organization is doing and attracting people to the area, as well as Economic Alliance, which you just had a report from. And also, I sent you an email with the Riverfront invite. So February 16th, we're doing another public day with Hitchcock Design, talking about the design, what would be the final design and construction look and feel of the riverfront, and just getting feedback from residents on what they'd like to see, what maybe they don't like on the design. We'll take all feedback. And then really next steps on how we get from here to construction and how people can get involved if they want to get involved in support. So it's February 16th. The lunch is from 12 to 2, and you're invited to come to that. And so I sent you that invite, and that will be your time to be able to give feedback and talk to Hitchcock Design about the East River Walk. So make sure that you put that on your calendars, and I will do my best to try to remind you of that. If you can't come from 12 to 2, there's another meeting at 3, and then there's another meeting at 6 p.m. So feel free to plug in when you can. But if you come to noon, we will make sure you have some lunch. So the rest of this is all the project updates, so feel free to take a look at that. Give us a call if you have any questions about any of those projects and where they're at. We do have some businesses coming on, online, like Knack Brewery in the next month, and so we got some exciting things going on. So, but feel free to take a look at that in your own time. Give me a call anytime if you have questions. And then just want to give you an update on the Building Planning and Compliance Committee, our internal meeting where we meet as department heads to talk about challenging property issues, land management, supporting building and code, and their efforts. And so we, of course, are focused on these properties that are here and are actively in adjudication, or code is diligently enforcing matters that are at these properties. So these are kind of like the top ones for this last month that we've really been focused on. And of course, we're going to talk about the Jaffe building here in just a few minutes. So just wanted to give you some of those addresses that we are really spending a lot of time on in the last 4 weeks. So, and of course, you can take a look at our strategic work and what we are keeping in mind and top of focus as we work every day and trying to develop strategies and plans. And we do look forward to working with all of you this year in 2022 at our community meetings and making sure that we are doing all of our grant compliance work and getting all of the feedback that we need so that we can send in those reports and keep the money coming in. So with that, I will end this part and take any questions so we can get to old business.
Alderman Barron?
Mark, do you have any update about the Kinky Works program and sort of our workforce development efforts at this point?
Yeah. So we've met with the regional workforce individuals. We've taken some feedback and data from top employers just within the city of Kankakee, not the county. And then we've met with KCC a couple times, especially in December. Everybody's really there's just not an answer. There's not a clear-cut answer as to what we do. When some of the top employers in the city did the cash incentives, that didn't work. People didn't sign up for the job for the extra $3,000. And so the thought was, if we try to create a program where there's a cash incentive and it didn't work for them, how would that work for the city? So we've been circling back. We've gotten some other feedback, especially from small business owners, about wage gap, like filling in the gap. So right now, cooks for small businesses, we're having a hard time retaining them, and our small local restaurants because the chains can pay, $20, $22 an hour, $25 an hour, and the small businesses just aren't there yet. So one idea was to maybe fill that gap because that is an eligible use of ARP funds, that working with a business to be able to say if you're paying $17 an hour and the national average is at this, maybe we can fill that gap for a year. But we would also need to work with our small business owners because after that year's over, they've got to find a way to build that into their budget to retain those employees. So it's not the end of a problem, and it's just a gap solution. So we've been talking about that, trying to see how we can do some of that, but there's been other programs with ARP that is that gap filled kind of program for service workers, for some entry-level jobs, and then they've been doing it over a period of 3 years with the intent on financial assistance with the small business to take a look at their finances, look at their services, their products, and help shift things around and pivot so that they can retain their employees at those competitive wages. So that's been one idea. And another one is really supporting scholarships and training certification programs and being able to cover those costs for individuals that want to get into those programs. So KCC has a number of free programs already, especially in the construction field, the highway construction field, forklift program. So if there's other programs that we need to be looking at with KCC that maybe have a cost, that we can offset that cost to get people in there and reduce that barrier that may be keeping people from, getting extra schooling, getting extra education to move up in their job. That's been one thing that we think that we can take a look at. So we're really just trying to do research and data because what everybody thought would work in the beginning of the pandemic is not working, and there's not an answer. The other thing too has been transportation and childcare. And so we all know this. We've got new childcare opportunities coming online with YMCA's purchasing of the old Fort and Villa property, and so there's going to be spaces for 150 children to have childcare. So we are staying in touch with them on how we can work with them to offset the costs for people to go there for their childcare facility. So there is some need, I think, for the workforce if we can reduce the barriers in childcare. And then you just heard Tim talk about transportation. We need to work with our employers, especially we have overnight third shifts. How do we get people to work and then back home again if they don't have a vehicle? And so maybe some of our funds need to go towards helping River Valley Metro or to find other unique ways to utilize this money to assist people with transportation needs. So we are trying to be creative and open-minded. We've got some bare bones ideas that we're trying to work and see if they're eligible. How do you report them? How do you hold people accountable for the money that's given to them in a reasonable way, in an equitable way that's not discriminatory, but really gives people, holds their feet to the fire a little bit, but also really gives them an opportunity to take advantage of all these resources. And it's really complicated in the workforce because, like I said in the beginning, everybody really thought those cash incentives would work, and it didn't work. So we're keeping plugging away. My goal is that March and April we'll hit it really hard because we will have already launched all the other housing programs and we'll be operating those programs, and so we'll have more free time to do program development for the workforce program. And I think everybody's kind of reset in the workforce world with the Workforce Board and Workforce Services and KCC's Workforce Career Center, that we can pull everybody back together and try to figure out what the best solution is. So that's kind of my time frame, is that March and April, to really be bringing you guys data, content, and ideas, and bringing in those other workforce leaders so that they can share their thoughts with us as well. But that money is allocated there, and we haven't given up on it. We just don't have the right answer. So.
Any other questions? Moving right along, ARP fund discussion.
Yeah, I know that we have ongoing ARP stuff, and so I just put in there the outdoor dining idea and all the work, the data that we went into it, and the plan, and the fact that we do have restaurants that would take advantage of that across the city. It's winter now, it's really cold, and I know we can't envision outdoor dining right now, but spring will be here before you know it, and so will summer. And so if this is something that we are considering and wanting to do, we need to utilize February, March, and April to get the equipment and the tables and the chairs and the umbrellas and work with the restaurants on identifying the space, working with building and code and planning to make sure that the space is safe and fits all of our ordinances. And so that will take some work. And so I just wanted to bring it up as, hey, don't forget that this is something that we could do. It is an eligible expense, and it's not a large expense as well. So once we get started, this is something that we most likely won't need to come back and ask for more. I don't see so many restaurants opening right away in the next couple of years, but the ones that do want to take advantage of it will start contributing financial commitment every year that we can be able to hold on to and purchase new equipment and maintain it. So I just wanted to bring it up, give you that sheet again, and if it gets brought up again in a voting situation, if that's something that could be discussed, we would greatly appreciate it. So that's it.
Alderman Barron?
Scheduling wise, that seems like that could be difficult, because I don't think ARP is going to be until,
April.
so that's kind of something that the time that we need now to get the program.
Yeah, that's why we bring it up, but I don't, we've shared it here with you guys tonight, and reminded the mayor, and so if there's an opportunity a time or a city council, or if, we can push it through, that would be great. I don't think right now there's a conversation or a place where we could put it on city council yet. I think we still have some work to do to gain consensus, but I just wanted to bring it up, and maybe it's something that we can talk about in the second meeting of February.
Do you want to put that on the discussion for economic development in February?
I can, yeah. Yeah.
We can flush it out.
Yeah, and we can also talk about community development in the beginning of February too. I just need some leadership from the council committee on if we like this, if we don't like it, if we want to talk about it, if we don't. So, and I think everybody still has some questions of restaurants in their own district that they want to ask and see if there's support for it too, so.
The outdoor dining program's been going on for a while. How many people participate? How many businesses?
So right now, it's only downtown. Yeah. It's only the downtown areas that are able to participate in it. And so with this program, we'd be expanding it to citywide. So we have 12 other restaurants outside of the downtown area that were interested in having outdoor dining and working with us. So while there's all the operations of the equipment and getting the equipment, we will have to work to change the city ordinance to allow for outdoor dining in the entire city. Because right now it's only allowed downtown Kankakee. So it's only those restaurants in downtown that have it.
You got Johnny's Pizza, right? And No Dogs.
Yeah, you've got Johnny's and No
Station.
Dogs and 360 and Lori's Diner and Rigo's, Stafari, Grapes and Hops.
Great.
Yeah.
Is that money on the annual rental, does that go back into the program to buy more?
Yeah, so it's just going to go back into this program so that we can pay for the maintenance of things, and then we can purchase more equipment if we need it. So it's not going to go to any internal operations for city other than just that program.
The requested allocation was 100,000?
It's 150. Yeah. Yeah.
That was like the original.
Yep.
So it sounds like, I'm just trying to think of how we can get it to a full council vote with the process that we have.
Yeah, we need to, there's more offline conversation that needs to be had to get it to there. I just wanted to bring it up again because there is a timeline for winter if we want to make it happen. And so I know that there's a few other aldermen who aren't here tonight that wanted to ask some more questions to restaurants in their district. So we just need to give time for that. And yeah, I don't know what's coming on the agenda for the second meeting in February either. So I don't, I want to make sure that we check in with everybody before we move forward on it, so.
Do we know what it will cost the different businesses that are in our wards to get set up for outside dining?
Yeah, so on this, basically the cost is $85 for, well, let me see, because the estimated meeting cost per restaurant would be $3,470. Lowest cost is about $1,316. You can see the breakdown in prices of the different
And that was
equipment.
in the email you sent out? right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the annual fee that we would actually be charging the restaurants, and it depends on how many tables they have, would be starting at $250 a year, $500 a year, or $1,000 a year. And then that's going to be their fee after if we have the 150,000. So we'll launch it, and then they'll have those fees that they pay in every year. And then we will take those fees to operate the rest of the program.
I didn't get through that whole email there, but was there a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year, 5-year commitment or anything from the restaurants that they're going to sign up?
We can make that happen. I mean, we didn't get that far in the actual operational commitment of what that agreement would look like, but we can make that kind of agreement. That way we have a financial commitment for a certain amount of years.
Some type of financial commitment for 2 or 3 years or something.
Okay.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
We'll do some more talking offline. I just wanted to bring it up. I don't have any updates about gaming. I know that there's work going on in Ordinance Committee, license and franchise. I was hoping to have some more social equity information to share. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So, yeah, I'll get to it. And as soon as I do, I'll bring that to you. We don't have an update about the bond TIF request tonight. I know that they are working through the redevelopment agreement with their lawyers, and all of us want to come to a quick finish here. So hopefully we'll have something at the next meeting. Yeah, we'll just keep going right to the list. So in your packet, and we did talk, December briefly just brought up a potential opportunity with a local property owner and developer for a hotel development. It's the very beginning stages. There's some work that has still has to go on, but when working for financing for a hotel development, a feasibility study has to be done. And the developer, of course, I mean, when they're doing this work, they own the feasibility study. So the city of Kankakee, I would like to do the feasibility study so that we could see the data and what the market is saying and what the feasibility report is, and then we would share it with the developer so that they have it for the purposes that they need. So we worked with the developer, understanding what their project is, and we do have Dave Benoit here tonight, who is part of that team. And so he could answer any questions that if you have, but I did present 3 proposals for the feasibility study. This is a TIF eligible expense. This development is on the east side of town, and will be a huge asset to the development going on and what our goals are for that side of town. And so we've got a lot of support developmentally in this project. We've got a good financial capital investment that will go into this as well from the developer team. And so really, I just want to present these 3 proposals to you and just ask if there is one that we could vote and move forward to City Council for February 7th approval. So you have 3 in there, and they're all kind of, one is really different than the other ones. And Dave, I don't know if you want to chime in, if you want to come up to the mic and chime in on the one that you like the most out of all of these, but you have one from Patek Hospitality, one from HMI Hospitality, and then one from HVS. So,
I think it's the HMI that we're talking about. Excuse me, Brad and I were talking about. Actually, it's the least expensive, too.
Oh.
And so that kind of works out well.
That's-
And there's one that was a little confusing, and another one that was $9,000, and, it was a little expensive. But the feasibility study is the basis for finding out if we can, if the project will work. That's our recommendation. They will also recommend the type of hotel and the size. The size will be 60 to 80 rooms, because that's what their standard building project is. The site itself is 5 acres, which a hotel of this size only takes 2 acres. So we have the possibility of a lot more development right on this site. Maybe a restaurant, maybe a little strip center. Steve Hunter mentioned a laundromat would be good over there. So, there's a coffee shop. Starbucks would be fantastic, right? So there's a lot of possibilities on that site, which is right across from the Ricky Rockets, which apparently is coming together. So the feasibility study starts this, and then when we get past that and we know that this is recommended, then we can take this project to the financing company to get see if we can put the whole package together. Now, the reason GT Express, who I work for on the east side of Kankakee, the reason we're doing this is because currently we are renting 10 to 15 rooms a week in Bradley. Well, we would like to bring that to Kankakee.
So if this committee would allow me, I'd like to present these 3 proposals to City Council on February 7th and ask for the approval of the HMI 7,300
Yes.
proposal.
I would go ahead and make the motion to go ahead and bring this to City Council to vote on. Do we need to make the motion to which one we're going to vote on, or do you want to bring all 3 proposals?
I just need your permission to bring this to City Council
I'll make a
and
motion to bring this proposal to City Council to vote on February 7th.
No, second it.
A motion by Alderman Crawford. Question?
The one thing that I wanted to make sure with that study was, I like that it does look at more than one site. I mean, it specifies that you're potentially looking at 318, 308, 312, and it describes Kankakee downtown. As long as that includes sort of the riverfront area. That's part of that.
Yes.
and it's not articulated in that study the way it is in one of the others that I thought would be helpful. The other thing is, they do offer restaurant and beverage projections too. And it's an additional cost, but if this is going to be part of the 5-acre development, that's something that we potentially could approve this part of this deal. So,
cool.
That sounds excellent. We got a motion on the floor made by Alderman Crawford, second by Alderwoman Marshall. Roll call. Alderwoman Lewis. Aye. Alderman Barron.
stand due to potential conflict of interest.
Alderman Crawford.
Aye.
Alderwoman Marshall.
Aye.
I also agree. Also, we got enough?
We're good.
We're good.
Thank you very much. Dave, thanks, and we'll be in touch and let you know too for City Council on February 7th.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next thing is the environmental update on the 217 East Court Street Jaffe Pharmacy Building. So I know that we have had several conversations about the cleanup that needs to happen at this building. I worked in the fall and December to do my due diligence to find another proposal from environmental companies got an answer from a different environmental company, and I included that email in your packet so you could see that they are unable to do that type of work, and they forward us on to another environmental company who does not have the capacity to turn in a proposal to meet our urgent timeline. We've had the building, secured and blocked off, and the neighbors of that property would like to see something get done. And we also have a really big concern from building and code enforcement, from fire inspector, and from DPW about the facade of that building really having a tough time making it through these really frigid days and then wet, rainy spring season. So I talked to the mayor, and just with all of that, we do have a proposal for environmental cleanup and for pharmaceutical waste and environmental cleanup from that. This is from Midwest Environmental Consulting Services. They are licensed, insured, and certified. They do federal projects. We work with them when we have other big projects, or even when we have some of our backup on lead and asbestos testing for our housing projects that we do. So we have worked with them before. They have visited Kankakee. They toured the building. They worked with our building inspectors and our fire inspector. They reached out to IEPA and EPA to make sure that they were properly handling all of the pharmaceutical waste that will need to be thrown away. And so they have presented two different proposals. One proposal is for the actual cleanup of all the pharmaceuticals and all of the chemicals that are in that building that need to be disposed of. And so you can see a breakdown of all the different disposal methods that they have to do based on all of the materials that are in that building. So it's a very detailed proposal for that totals about $36,725. And then there is the lead and asbestos environmental testing and work that needs to happen as well. We need to have those reports. And so that is another proposal that's in there for $4,000. I had this on me just a minute ago. It's like $4,270? $250. Thank you. So I wanted to bring these to you tonight just to let you know how much work has gone into trying to get good environmental proposals sent in. But now we're really at that urgent emergency. We're past that line really for this building. And so I want to be able to put this on the February 7th City Council agenda for approval. However, I want you to know that we are working really hard to schedule a meeting around a lot of people's schedules with the board representation for KDC and for a potential buyer of Jaffe Building to see if they will contribute to this the cost of this project as well. So I'm hoping by February 7th I can bring this to the City Council and have this on the agenda, but also be able to tell you what financial commitment we would have from outside and property owners or business organizations to help offset this cost, and then future development strategy for the building as well. So I know it's a quick turnaround, but Midwest Environmental wants to get their team going too. I really just need your support and permission in moving forward to get this on the agenda on February 7th. But I want you to also know we're doing some work behind the scenes with other people to get some investment to offset the total cost for the city.
I'd like to make a motion that we bring this before the City Council for the Midwest Environment Services, and understanding that they have quoted us with $36,725 for the project costs, and additionally for the lead, $4,250.
There's a motion made by Alderwoman Malone Marshall, second by Alderman Crawford. Question? Roll call.
I got a question.
Sorry, go ahead, Alderman.
Has somebody taken ownership of that building yet, the person that bought the property tax or the back taxes?
Sale and error.
Pardon me?
It went back as a sale and error. So somebody bought the taxes and then basically said, I don't want it.
Right. So is it
So
still?
technically the Jaffes still own the property.
Alderman Barron?
The quote for lead and asbestos, that doesn't cover any remediation, right? That's just the survey?
That's just a survey to find out what lead and asbestos is in the building, because there hasn't been a report on that.
Okay. But that would need to be addressed.
If the survey comes back and we've got lead and asbestos, then that's something that we can address. And I will make that known to potential partners that help us offset the cost. If there could be additional mediation for lead and asbestos, but right now we don't know what that is yet. We'll deal with that when the survey comes back.
Alderman?
Will we also be leaning Jeffrey's trust fund on this?
That's one of the things that that's one of the things we're talking about. Since there is a potential buyer for the building, we have an opportunity to work with them on what a development agreement could look like. And if they're going to help invest in this, then maybe we don't want to lean the building just because they're going to put in money to help pay for this too, so that they can make that purchase quicker. So we've got a lot of things to work out behind the scenes, but that is one of the things that, of course, our legal team has been talking about.
Thank you.
Roll call, Alderwoman Lewis. Alderman Barron.
Staying due to potential conflict of interest.
Alderman Crawford.
Aye.
Alderwoman Malone Marshall.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. We'll be sending this to full city council February 7th.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much for just supporting that work and helping us through it. And if you have any feedback or ideas, please let me know and just give us some of that assistance as we go through this work in the next couple of weeks. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Barb. We appreciate you doing the work, because that is an eyesore right on Court Street, and it's been there for a while, as well as to the people that that work on that block. It's a hazard to them, so I'm glad to see that we're getting some movement on it.
Yeah.
Myself as well.
Yeah, just moving into new business. Yeah, there's nothing on the agenda, but just really quickly, I shared the press release from Senator Joyce's office with you. I printed that out. That went out yesterday. Just working with his staff on trying to get Kankakee included in the state River's Edge tax credit program. So Senator Joyce is supporting this, and he's going to be bringing that into present the bill this spring and see if we can get added to that legislation. There's some more work to do in that, and our office will work along with the senator's staff to do that. And so I'll make sure that you guys get updated information about the River's Edge tax credit, but it's another incentive layer for development and to reduce blight and those kind of projects in the city, because we're right along the river. So it'll help the riverfront development, but also downtown. So there's more to come on that. When this was established, I'm not sure, there was some issues with Kankakee being so close to Indiana that kind of kept us out of that, but Senator Joyce is willing to fight through that legislation to get us added. So be doing that work with his team, and I'm very grateful that he's taking up the cause for us in Springfield on that. Already when he made the announcement, several property owners and other developers were very excited to see that be announced from Senator Joyce. So I'm looking forward to that. Just one more way we can utilize the river to our benefit here in Kankakee. And then the last thing I just wanted to tell you was ECDA has been able to bring on more staff thanks to the ARP allocation. And so our community navigators will be coming on in February 7th. We'll give a bigger, more detailed update about that at the CD committee, Community Development Committee, in February 7th. But we have our staff onboarding. They are very excited, and they're going to be doing some training, public safety training, and also coming on board as we are entering our 4 weeks long of federal training for ECDA. So if we don't get back to you right away in our normal time frame that everybody's used to, just be patient with us. We are at work, but we have the next 4 weeks of some detailed federal training, and we're finishing up our COVID relief pandemic training this week. So much more to come as rules keep changing and reporting methods keep changing. So, but just really excited, and we will present all that information to you guys soon.
How many staff?
So we were able to bring on the grant assistant and 3 community navigators, and then the 1 bilingual economic navigator. All with local ties, so we're looking forward to it.
Alderman.
Thank you, Chairman. And they're all on staff for 3-year contracts, is that correct?
They have 3-year contracts with a review at the end of every year. And we've already, because of the new grant, which I'll talk about more in the Community Development Committee on February 7th, we are already making those switches because we can with the new grants and the new structures of things moving in. So there's already 1 staff person that we're able to start paying for with a portion of the grant money, which is what we wanted to do anyway. So we're already doing that work to try to make some of these roles as sustainable as possible, so.
Outstanding. Yes, Alderman.
We're in Alderman comments, or?
Yes, we are. Are you ready?
I am.
Would you start us off, please?
First is a comment, and this kind of goes in line with the workforce piece. I don't know exactly the route to do this, but if there's a way that we could help a group that I think is being really hammered by the COVID restrictions, having to deal with childcare, but then also localized here in the city of Kankakee with some of the issues at LCC and King. I mean, you've got 800 students who are hopefully going to be in new locations, but for the time being, they're at home. And when they're at home, you need to have childcare, you need to have a parent who's there. That's really tough when I'm trying to maintain employment. I imagine there's a sizable group of people who are just not able to maintain a job or really being squeezed. And this is directly tied to COVID too. So if there's any way that that group of parents, can be considered for purposes of workforce type issue there. The second, I have a question. I think housing is very much tied to economic development. The $1.43 million Healthy Homes grant, could you give me what is that specifically for? Is that housing rehab? Is that qualified housing rehab? What's the?
Yeah, so it's housing rehab, and it is a companion grant to the lead grant. There is education that goes along with this to the parents in the house, and it is geared toward families with children, but it's also seniors grandparents that may have children in their house as well. The education piece is about 32 points of safety, healthy home initiatives. So, even things from food, nutrition, things about your refrigerator, like cleaning your house. There's a lot of these pieces that are very basic that go into the Healthy Homes grant. It also allows us to rehab items that aren't covered in the lead grant. And it also will be a good companion for our other housing grants. Basically, if we go into a home now and we do the lead testing and they qualify for the lead grant, we can pull from Healthy Homes grant, the lead grant, our other state rehab grants. So suddenly your $20,000 max could potentially be up to $50,000 in rehab for a house. And we have so many older homes that have high costs to them. Things like customizing window sizes. We've done 2 houses now that we had to customize doors for because it's historic. So these things, the prices of these older homes, rehabbing them is very high. So being able to put some more money into that, but there is some education components that the parents have to complete as well. With that grant also is going to come a new hire of a Healthy Homes coordinator, because there has to be a full-time Healthy Homes coordinator on staff, and somebody who can go through all 32 points of Healthy Homes and educate and sit down with families and help them understand what that grant is and all the things that need to go into it. So we have a lot more work to do. Our training for this grant, it starts on Monday. So.
Any more Alderman comments? Alderman Lewis? Alderman Marshall? Alderman Marshall? Alderman Crawford? Any further comments? Thank you so much. With that being said, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Third.
Okay. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.